powered by Riverside.
Hello, everyone, and good evening, and welcome to Animal Warrior Radio, Voices Carry for Animals, podcast number 535 shows this evening and counting. I want to welcome all you new listeners aboard. I hope you enjoy the show and keep coming back, spreading the word, because the animals is we are the animals' only hope for changes to pull through. We have to keep fighting for them and getting with our legislators and help back, have them to co-sponsor or even create new bills. And it's all about us up to do that. And we have to stick together and work together from every angle, and it takes teamwork. So I just want to go over a couple of things we're going over this morning. This is powered by Riverstream, and it's going live right now on Facebook. If you want to check out my Voices Carry for Animals podcast Facebook page, and also my personal page, Debbie Dahmer, and also on there's several pages that's going live, and there is a public chat room that is available to come in. If you have a computer or a laptop, you can come right into the studio and interact and speak with the guest. It is awesome. Anyway, my name is Debbie Dahmer, aka Mama Bear, and Mama Bear is on the air because she really does care. And we want to really thank all of you for your continuous support, because used to be on Podbean for a year and 3 months, and they removed the live stream with the live studio chat room with the call-ins. So I wanted to continue, and I found Riverside, and they've been so great working together. And this platform is still learning, still a newbie kind of, but we're going to keep going. And and the great guests line up throughout the whole year, and it's been like that for my 12th year anniversary for being on live stream was at the end of June the 25th, with right now at 535 shows and counting. And I'm not going to give up. But anyway, I want to, and all the ones that's coming into the chat room, you're more than welcome. Any kind of questions or leave links in these chat rooms, you're more than welcome to, or interact with the other listeners, or if you want to speak to the guests. And I'll be taking calls later on of the show to do that. And you can also on the public chat on the Voices Carry for Animals podcast Facebook page, you can put comments there also, and we could go from there. But Anyway, I want to welcome back Kate MacFall. She's the Florida director for the Humane World for Animals, and which used to be Humane Society of the United States, formerly. But I want to welcome her back. She's coming to the. Hello? Yeah, can you hear me? Hello? Okay, I was picking up some noise there, and the ones that's in the queue right now. If you want to speak on air, if you could please use headphones. This is for the better audio, or the earbuds with the mic. Well, if you're coming on air, if you don't have to worry about it. But I was told that because they had some issues last couple weeks with that, and I've been getting with the Riverside the troubleshooting and their great technical support. And if you are wearing headphones, just make sure you turn the echo cancellation on, okay, so that it's on there and we could go right from there. Okay, so I'm going to bring Kate in. Kate, hello, Kate? Can you hear me? You're live on the air. Are you there? Hello? Wait a minute, I'm having some audio. But anyway, Kate MacFall, I'm going to welcome her back. And if you're in the chat room, everyone, um, you're more than welcome to come in there. And like I said, any kind of questions or comments, or you want to interact with each other, you can go from there. And but I'm trying to locate Kate right now and see what's going on. And Darla, if you're on Facebook, it is going live stream. You can check out my personal page. It should be on there. And we can, like I said, you can put comments on the bottom or the top, and I see it right now that it is up and running. And it says, thanks for joining our exclusive live broadcast. Feel free to share your questions and interact with other participants in the chat. And that is also on Voices Carry for Animals podcast, Facebook page. Okay. So, and I got there in the queue right here. And I'm going to, so we've got Harlan and we got the, let me see here. Okay. Kate, can you hear me? Hello? You're live and on the air. If you put your on your with your headphones. Hello? Let me can you hear me, Kate? I got you live on the air. But anyway, please just everyone stand by here. I'm trying to and then Lisa's in the chat room. Hello, Lisa, and thanks for all of you, all your ongoing support here and everything. I'm trying to get a hold of the guests here and see if I'm having any, messages or anything. Try to bring her on board. She's been working hard out there. We do have uh, we're going to be discussing the puppy mills this evening, the puppy mills legislation, and the importance of getting involved with animal advocacy legislation year round, how to get involved and take action for the animals in need, contacting your state representative and senators on current bills introduced in legislation. All this is very important, everyone. So we have to
Can you hear me now?
yes, there you are. I was looking for you, great Kate.
Okay.
There
I was on my
welcome back.
phone, but I couldn't figure it out, so I just went on the computer. So thank you for having me.
Hey, anytime. You're always welcome back. We go back many years.
Yes, and
We're
still
going to go.
technically challenged all these years
Yes.
later. Yes,
T- from
no doubt.
TS Radio to, I mean, we're going way back. Animal Advocates Radio, and this is such an honor to have you back on.
Well,
So
thank you.
wonderful. I love this.
Thank you. And I love talking about the issues that are important and that we need to work on that help animals. There's so many, it seems overwhelming, but We have to focus on priority issues and do absolutely the best we can, and not let it overwhelm us. But it's tempting sometimes because there's a lot of issues.
Oh yeah, and we have to keep them all in the spotlight and not let them fade out or fizzle out, disappear, because the animals are so important to us and they deserve the better lives and futures from every angle.
And they're
That's
important to most people. I mean, that really drives the work that I do, in that most people really do care about animals and want to protect animals. If they didn't, that would be even more alarming. Of course, there's outliers and some that are not the norm, and we hope they are brought to justice. But most people do care, and we have to work on that and kind of build on that as we go on policy and legislation and all the things that we do. But most people do care. I believe that, and I need to believe that.
Yeah, and we have to, do our best. When we all come together, we are better and stronger together than apart, and we gain
Right?
strength in numbers. Mama Cat says that a lot, and
Mm-hmm.
power in numbers,
She says
because
that.
that's where we get, that's where the changes come through, and the victories, and the animals can't thank us, but when we see their
True.
lives and futures changing for the better, that's how where we've done what we need to do, and
That's right.
working together, teamwork.
And since you said numbers, I can't resist. My colleagues who work on legislation on the federal level, they are remarkable. And on this past weekend, Humane World for Animals had the TAFA conference, a Taking Action for Animals, and on Monday was Lobby Day on the Hill in DC, and it was a record number of people registered. It's a huge group of advocates from all different states. It was really exciting to see all the different advocates working on priority legislation. So, just to your point, strength in numbers, it's truly numbers are make the difference.
That's right. And hey, the stronger we become and the faster the changes. And that's what my goal is. I can't do nothing by myself. It takes a village. I do my best, but once it takes a village, everyone, we cannot give up. Spread the word out there. Recruit more people and more action takers. That's the key.
Mm-hmm.
Spread the word to your family, your daughters, sons, neighbors, co-workers, because a lot of them don't know what's really going on behind the scenes. Maybe they hear a little bit, but they don't know the whole truth and reality of it. And once they do, they might get involved. You never know unless you try, and
Right.
what their answer is. They might want to help out. And on social media, that's our landing strip out there to come together, to
Mm-hmm.
share information, to gain support, to gain action takers. That's the key right
Mm-hmm.
there. I mean, look at all the social media out there. I
And
mean,
you're right, to be that source for your family and friends and neighbors, because sometimes people have the wrong information or they've misunderstood, and so if they come to you or have a question, you be the source on all things animals, and that's such a big help, because sometimes the message gets skewed, and good advocates can be there to clarify and help point people in the right direction.
oh yeah. Oh, hey, strong leaders and strong supporters leads to strong victories, and then when that all comes together, and then we know we're not spinning our wheels, and I've never thought that from the beginning, because when I see things happen, not just from having this podcast, but when I'm out there doing extra, getting out there and
Mm-hmm.
calling legislators or signing petitions, or putting out news articles to see the truth and reality, what's going on out there. You hate to put any kind of horrific pictures or anything of animals or stories, but that's the truth and reality. So I take my anger into action. I just
Mm-hmm.
don't look the other way. I want to do something,
Right.
make changes, and that's so important to me.
Mm-hmm.
So And I
Good.
know, and I know it's important to you too, and all the hard work you have done out there, Kate.
Yes.
Great, I call her Great Kate, everyone, because she deserves it. She's awesome.
He makes me
Yeah,
laugh. Yeah.
yeah. I love that. And how long have you been with Humane World for Animals?
I've been here 14 years.
Wow, that's a long
Mhm.
time,
It
and then
is. Yeah.
working hard. You're a great voice out there, and you
Mhm.
got a lot of supporters. I mean, Humane World for Animals is worldwide, international.
It is worldwide, and that's why the name change, really, to highlight that we do so much internationally. I mean, change has always got some growing pains, um, because some people don't, they're still learning about the name change. But this name is more appropriate in many ways because of the international work we're doing. I just do Florida. Florida is plenty for me, but my colleagues do international work and all kinds of interesting things.
Mhm. And you got a great super team and super staff that's working together too, and that means a lot.
Oh
You know,
my.
we're working close together and helping each other out and being there, and involvement, dedication, because that all the animals deserve that so much,
Hmm.
you know, and they deserve it because they can't fight for themselves. They have to. We have to fight for them.
We have.
They're voiceless and helpless, innocent, and defenseless.
Hmm.
Just like the children and the elderly. So we have to be the
That's
voice and
right.
get them out of harm's way from every angle out there, okay? Because
Hmm.
that means so much, and it is improving over the years. It's not getting worse, and that's a plus right there. And that's from everybody coming together and helping out,
Right.
and
More
doing their
awareness,
part.
hopefully.
Every effort
Mhm.
counts,
It's
so
true. It's true. Every effort counts.
yeah.
Unfortunately, the industry, the bad guys, are also working hard, but we're working harder. And it's really important to get our issues out there and to be reasonable and for advocates to be respectful to their lawmakers and all of that, to whether it's on the county level, state level, or up in DC on the federal level, to be extremely respectful and know your stuff. And if you don't know something, that's okay too. You can circle back and get, follow up. You don't have to know everything, but being respectful is underrated because it's so important. And I can't imagine being anything but that, but you never know. Sometimes people don't realize the importance of it. And that's how we can get things done, is to be reasonable and understand that not everybody agrees with us, but maybe they agree with us a little bit, and we can get them there.
Hey, everything counts out there. Whatever everybody can do, I mean, take that meaningful time and help out, right? I mean,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
help donate to Humane World for Animals because it's not free out there. I mean, nothing is for free. And
Right.
whatever your donations, it's very important. It's helping the animals out tremendously out there, and they got a great reputation out there. And I've seen so many great photos of helping the animals out, Kate. I mean,
Well, there's so
it's
much. In fact,
amazing.
it is. And one of the things I wanted to talk about tonight was puppy mills. And I saw on Kitty's blog that came out yesterday, I guess it was, on Delaware is the 10th state to prohibit the retail sale of puppies, which is fantastic. And so Kitty's blog is always a good, cliff notes, if you will, of what's happening in animal welfare. And there are so many states, well, 10 now, that have. Am I echoing?
No, you're fine.
Okay.
Yep.
Because I can try the earphones, but anyway, that prohibit the retail sale of pets, cats and dogs. And some, when we are working on this in Florida, and I hope we can include rabbits. A lot of our ordinances include rabbits, but it's mainly puppies and kittens, and it's extremely meaningful. Think about it. 10 states have prohibited the retail sale. So that still says you can go to a responsible breeder, or you can go to, obviously, adopt. That's our first preference. Your shelter, rescue, humane society. But if that doesn't work, then go to a responsible breeder. Certainly not a pet store. Or the guy who wants to meet you in the Walmart parking lot. Bad idea.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a very bad idea, but that's we're making a huge difference by phasing out the retail sale of puppies and kittens, and so therefore there's fewer being bred because the demand is going down. Just really, our puppy mills team is off the charts. They're amazing.
Yes, I mean it's no place for them to be or live, or that's
Yeah.
no kind of life whatsoever.
Oh my God.
They're cramped up. I mean it's terrible. And I've had many shows on puppy mills, so and it's a sad situation for them.
But people
They're
don't see it. They don't know, and they just see the puppy in the store, and they're not putting it together that that puppy's parents are in a horrific situation. And they may never, the females are bred every heat cycle, and then when they stop going into heat and pumping out puppies, they're discarded. They you don't get vet care. I mean, it's horrible, but that puppy's cute. I had someone say to me the other day, well, the puppy's so cute. And I thought, well, wow, you're kind of missing the point. Of course, puppies are always cute, and all animals are wonderful and need to be treated humanely. But that by buying that puppy, you're supporting the industry where those parents are kept in horrific and cruel conditions, and that's the bigger message.
right, and that's animal cruelty front lines. They
Mm,
shouldn't have to live like that. I hate seeing those photos and videos of them all cramped up and little space to run around in. It's terrible.
right.
It's so, I mean, that right there should tell everyone why are they living like this, and even in the stores. Oh, they look so cute and everything. Well, this, do something about that. That's no life for them,
Right.
at
Right.
all. They're
And people
cramped up.
don't realize, sometimes people don't realize, and they say, well, I didn't know that this guy's a breeder, or sometimes they're a broker. I do hear this a lot. People don't really realize that it's a shady situation. And we have stuff on our website. Just Google it. I mean, anything. It's not brain surgery, but it's sometimes good people who don't realize. And honestly, those are the best advocates because they're duped into buying a puppy when they think they're going to a responsible source and they're not. And they have all kinds of health issues, medical issues. And that's one of the main talking points about pet retail sales is that it's consumer protection to prohibit the retail sale because consumers are duped and they get into all kinds of financial trouble trying to keep this puppy alive who's got illnesses on top of illnesses. And sometimes, they were born with them and sometimes they just get very sick. And so good people that don't know better spend all this money trying to help their puppy that they just bought, and they bond very quickly. And then they're very upset when this happens. So they do make the best advocates because they're mad about it, and they should be mad about it because they were tricked. But anyway, there's a whole host of questions and things to ask yourself or to ask in your head when you're considering buying a puppy here. There again, rescue is the best option. There's so many animals in shelters right now, more than there were, a few years back. It's and that's a whole separate issue. But there's a lot of housing issues, and the cost of care is up. Cost of the housing and pet deposits is up. So our shelters are really full, and sadly, some people are having to relinquish. So shelters are full. That's where you should go to get your next family member or a rescue group. There's breed specific rescues if somebody has to have a certain breed. I find that people think they have to have a certain breed, which is certainly a prerogative, of course. Some people really like a certain breed, but so often it's what they had when they were a kid. And then they're not even thinking about maybe another dog. And they're just like people, right? They're all individuals. It's fun to meet them, get to know the personalities, and then make a decision. But there's all kinds of outlets, responsible, humane outlets for adopting your next family member without buying a puppy or a rabbit or a cat anywhere, certainly, not a retail store. So soon, 10 years ago, maybe, yes, 10 or 11 years ago, that this was not the case. Now there are 10 states that have prohibited the retail sale. That is absolutely amazing. That's real amazing, exciting forward-thinking progress that our animal welfare advocates should be excited about. There we are.
Oh yeah, and then like you were saying, adopt, don't shop. Visit your local animal shelters. I've been
Hmm.
saying that on several shows how they're at maximum capacity.
Yeah.
Because a lot is on this inflation. The vet bills are
Yeah.
up, the
Yeah.
surgeries, the pet food. Plus
Everything.
everything else with gas and food and rent
Yeah.
and property taxes, homeowners and
Right.
utilities. It's gone up so much with this
Yes.
inflation. So it's throwing
Yeah.
a lot of families are surrendering their pets. And it's sad because the pets don't have no choice in the matter and they really don't know what's going on.
Oh,
So
it's heartbreaking.
please.
You can tell it. I volunteer at my local shelter, and you can tell those that were owner surrender. They're looking. I mean,
Mhm.
most strays had an owner at one time anyway, so they're not exactly strays, but you can tell those that were like brought there. And some are, the people I'd like to maybe give them, some thoughts on that. And so often they don't want to be relinquishing their pet, right? It's just very sad, and they don't know why they're there and what did they do wrong, all of those things. But we have a lot of really good shelters in Florida that are trying and working hard and networking with others and doing the best that they can, but they can't do it all. People have to adopt and foster and help them.
Right. I mean, even fostering it helps out too, because so many across the last thing I have read is approximately 1 million healthy adoptable animals in America is getting put down all ages a
Mm.
year. Isn't that sad and heartbreaking? And all
Yep.
ages too, all healthy. So
I
please,
know
everyone.
lots of shelters that have to make those tough decisions, and it's so sad. And it shouldn't be when there are people, and it makes my blood boil when I see someone with their designer puppy that they got from a store when they could have gone to the shelter and saved somebody. So I'm very opinionated on that one, on that topic. Um, but that's because I see it, and my heart really breaks also for the people in the shelter who work 7 days a week caring for these animals, and it's very rare to find someone that doesn't care. But sheltering work is difficult, and that brings me to one other thing I wanted to mention, that Humane World for Animals doesn't have an official position, but I am concerned about this property tax amendment that's going to be on the ballot in Florida for the animals. So, politics aside, property taxes aside, the cut that some of our county governments are going to be faced with if this passes will affect our shelters, and that's why I just ask that your listeners do their homework and look into it and know what it actually means. It would certainly save that homeowner some money in their property taxes, but it would also, in many counties, be devastating to that animal services. So just hope people will do their homework and research it a bit before they decide.
You always have to do your homework from every angle out there, Kate, because not just to, go one sided, but go behind what's really going on and make sure you approve of everything before you do go vote on anything out there, because we never know, so it may sound good, but then again, there's going to be some curveballs in there somewhere, so we
Right.
have to pay attention to what's going on
That's
because
right. That's right. Be responsible. Do your homework and know what you're voting for or against. And if you don't know, ask someone who does know. You're not expected to know everything, but someone knows. So reach out and ask. Um, and the other thing I would like to mention is we're talking about sheltering and again, the overpopulation, back to the puppy mills. Like, why would you, with all these animals in shelters, waiting, and some are purebred, some are mixed breed. I like the mixed breeds, but all the overpopulation is overwhelming. But when we have all of these pets in shelters, I always encourage people to go to your shelter, get to know the director, get to know the staff. Certainly don't be negative. If you have a concern or a question, ask them directly and go there and be a supporter. Ask them how you can help. What do they need? Sometimes it's something so small that you're like, oh, I can totally see that. So be a friend and reach out and get to know your sheltering professionals, and see how you can help them because they have tough jobs.
Yes, they do. And even go by and, visit with a lot of the animals there, spend some time with them because there's no life for them there. They're safe there, but it's not a TLC home to them. So they're getting very, bored and stressed out, and
Yeah.
they need some TLC and attention because it's no life. Spend time out there. If you hear anybody, that's out there looking for a new furry loved one or loved ones, tell them to visit their nearest animal shelter. Hopefully there's going to be a lot more adoption events, foster. That means a lot too, to help them out. Keep spreading the word out
Yes,
there.
fostering is great because then you get to know them better, and and you can promote them better and say, well, they're really, these are their habits, this is what they like and dislike, and they're really funny, and these are the toys that they prefer, and you really can get to know them and do a better job of promoting them and finding them the right home when you've had them in your home, even for a short time or a long time. So I highly recommend fostering. It's fun too.
Oh yeah, and anything in with these shelters, because I know I've seen more frequently now where some of these car dealerships were having adoption events, and I was like, this is great,
Yeah.
or I mean, it is like, wow, it looks like it's picking up to where more our businesses and stuff is getting involved with helping them get an adoption, and I was like, this is so it's great to see this happening. Get their
They need
photos out
partners,
there.
right?
Yeah.
Different partners and different places where they can highlight a shelter pet and have them. My one friend in Central Florida used to have like county employees have a shelter dog at their office or at their place of business because it's a county shelter. And what a great, it gets them out of the kennel, it helps their mental health, they get exposure, meet new people. And again, that staff member who's overseeing their care that day or for multiple days gets to know them better and they can promote them. And there's just so many opportunities, but we have to find them. And that takes manpower and, a little bit of time, but we're going to have to be creative, like you were just saying, the car dealerships.
Right. When I seen that, it's like, hey, I hope more they catch on to this. It's contagious, wherever the business is, and everyone, they could even volunteer to help them out. I mean, it gives some, it's so uplifting, inspiring to see that, or I hear it on the radio, on FM where they're having adoption events, such and such date and time, and they have like different, activities going on along with it. And hey, you never know when you go to them, you might, and it's, I've heard so many people and went through myself when we lose a furry loved one, and it's very sad and it's devastating because they're a family member too, and it's hard to get over them. But your first words coming out, I'm not getting no more pets or this, and we all know that they don't really get to live a long life,
Right.
really.
That's what you sign up for. But some people need a little more time to grieve. I mean, we all
Yep.
grieve, but I always say, but that pet would I think would vote for you to help another. And even if it's
Yes.
not ready to adopt, then foster because you've got that space. And it's so meaningful for these guys to get a little time out of the shelter for their mental health. So and some people want to adopt right away because they're sad and they still love their passed away pet, but they want to fill that space. And some people just say, nope, I'm going to wait. And I say that is certainly fine, but maybe you could foster in the meantime because there's so many that are, struggling, and we all have to pitch in. It's tough times right now, like you said, all the things and the expenses, but their shelters are full, not just in Florida, but all over.
Yeah, and that's sad. I mean, they're getting euthanized, daily too. So many of them, they don't have a chance. I see them constantly going through social media, trying to get them, adopted or foster or rescued or
Mhm.
something. And so many, don't get that lucky because they don't give them enough time to get them help for them out. It's just 3, 4, 5 days, and that's not fair to them. So that us humans out there are their only hope to get a
Yes.
good life in a TLC home, everyone. So please go out there, and help out whatever you can do. Spread the word, whether it's on
Mhm.
social media. Press that
Yeah.
share for the mama bear, okay, and get
Yeah.
it in the news feed because I
But
see,
yes,
because
for
that helps
you,
out.
keep the mama bear in mind. And I have a challenge for people is to go and talk to the director or the assistant director at your local shelter and ask them, what do you need? How can I help you?
Yes.
They will fall out of their chair. Like no one says that. Um, and what a great idea, right? I mean, they say, well, I need $1 million. Okay, well, I don't have that. Most people don't, but they won't say that. They might have an idea or would be really, we need help over here, over there, but they never get asked that. And what a meaningful question, right? How can I help you? So maybe anybody who's listening can try that at their local shelter. Might be surprised, and who knows? But you'll certainly make a friend out of the shelter staff members.
That's right, and spend some time there, and even I've seen photos where the children go on these field trips. I wish there was more of those, and they read books to the animals. Are sitting right by the
Mhm.
kennel and everything. That's so heartwarming. So it's like they want to bring them home after reading books to them. If they don't already
Mhm.
have pets there, but that's so heartwarming to see that,
It is.
spending times with them because they don't get the love and the care and attention like they
But
do in
it's
a
good for the
home.
child. I'll say this, that we have to teach our young people, empathy and kindness. And nice, kind parents think they are, and most are, thank goodness. But it's wouldn't hurt to, make a point of that. Like those children reading, it's so good for the dogs, but it's really good for those children also to show empathy and try to read to help that dog. It's good for them to read. It's just a win-win. But that these animals need us. And that's a powerful lesson for those children that there's not really another way to do it. And there's a window of time, not having children. I'm not an expert on children, but I have studied this a little bit that there's a window, and we need to help, teach them empathy, and that will help them in life on so many levels with other humans and also animals and people in need.
Oh yeah, when you teach the children at a young age, about treating animals with dignity and respect, they move through their forward in their adult life doing the same.
That's
I
right.
mean, look at us and what we're doing.
That's right.
My parents taught me, hey, respect animals and treat them with kindness and respect.
Yeah.
And went through my childhood doing that. We had pets at the house, and growing through my adulthood doing the same. I've never, mistreated an animal, abused,
Yeah.
neglect, no, zero, my whole life, and will never do that.
Oh my
Their
goodness.
unconditional love, they deserve that attention and that love and care. Hang out with them and be their BFF, they'll be your BFF, best furry
They will
friends.
always be your BFF no matter
Oh
what.
yeah.
Even the biggest jerks, their dogs are still nice to them. They
Oh,
are, they will always be lay down their lives for their humans, and people should be half as loyal. And it is important. And I think in general, we've all been putting out fires and working on so many great things in the animal welfare space. I'm not sure that the humane education has been happening, and some groups like are stellar, and that's their main focus, and God bless them. But I think we, all of us as humans, can do a little more in the humane education space, because if if someone isn't taught that at home, then they're an adult that is missing that piece of their heart, and that's sad for the animals that cross their path, but it's also sad for that human.
mm, And when we all take that interest, keep ourselves, you know, up and right on top of things with these animals, and know the latest, what's going on with them, and educate ourselves more on them.
Mm-hmm.
When you're bringing a pet in, you want to learn about them. You just don't want to bring them in and assume and guess on their likes and how, what kind of whether it's a dog or a cat. It's better, because I've always done that through my whole life, is educate myself, read up on it, go on the
Mm-hmm.
internet or videos even, search what it is. Like mine is Alaskan Malamute. I did, before she was adopted, didn't hardly know nothing about Alaskan Malamutes. I knew they could handle cold weather up there in Alaska, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, they can withstand 20 below zero. Okay, I know
Right.
I can't handle 20 below zero, but she's big furry and all that. But to
Mm-hmm.
educate yourself and know what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
update yourself, and that way you're at more ease when you're bringing them to your house or your
Sure.
apartment or wherever, and you're educating yourself, and you're going to be more comfortable with it, knowing more about them and their history,
Mm-hmm.
and it's uplifting and encouraging. And that way, later in your life, when there's more pets come in, you'll still go on the same path. I got to learn about this pet I just adopted,
I
and the
will say that
behavior.
you're right
Yep.
about learning about, crate training, or I want to work on this, or, do I get a harness or do I get a martingale collar, all the things. But I caution everybody about, breeds, they're all different, right? It's like stereotyping people. Well, people are all different. So are dogs, especially mixed breeds, which are often healthier and just more settled. But rather than say, well, all Alaskan Malamutes are like this, and all labs love to swim. Of course, we all know that's not true. Some labs don't like to swim. So that's kind of the fun thing, is just to get to know them as individuals, just like people. But the training stuff and the housing stuff, all the things, you're right. You can find that good information online and do that. Educate yourself, or ask. I always tell people, ask the folks at your shelter, and if they don't know, they will know who does know.
That's right. And then never, if you're in doubt, always ask the questions or look it up, or, give yourself more information. You're going to be more at peace that way. You're going to be at ease instead of, any kind of panic or wonder what's going on, with this pet you just brought in, and work with them and give them a chance,
Right.
because being locked up in them, I call it jail, in the shelters, because they don't
Yeah.
have no life, right? I mean, it's
Well, I
terrible.
don't know if I'd call it jail in the
Oh yeah,
shelters. I mean, the
yeah,
shelters
because they didn't
are,
know no crimes. Yeah, I can't call it jail, but it's
yeah, and I
yep,
mean, the shelters are trying, but the shelters would agree. They don't want more coming in. They want to, there's all kinds of safety net programs to keep the animals out. They don't want more in. So they would agree that that's the last place you want to bring them, but it's not jail. It's,
yeah,
they're
you're
doing the best
right.
they can. And certainly the animals aren't, didn't do
Yep,
anything
they're
wrong,
not
but
they're not criminals at all, and their
no,
only crime was being born and to end up in there,
right. And
and
so
that's the
often
sad
people
part.
ask me that, well, how did he wind up here? And I was like, oh, you name it. Pet deposit, moving, divorce, new marriage, some new person has allergy, like nothing, it's just the humans, concern, but they didn't do anything. And they're like, oh, this is a great dog. Well, the shelter's full of amazing dogs, every shelter. And I visit shelters all over, every time I travel anywhere. I love to visit the shelters. It's a little weird, but um, it's just important to me. And in Florida, we have some fantastic shelters, and shelter people are my people. They're really trying, and I do think it's like the hub of a community. And then from there are people that also work on wildlife issues, which I do. I love, working on wildlife issues and to help wildlife, and so on and so on. But it's kind of the basics. The hub of the community is to work on. And in Tallahassee, I wanted to mention, we were talking about puppy mills, and I know I got off on sheltering because that's where my heart is so much of the time. Um, but we passed a bill this past session on the puppy mill issue. It's actually on the retail sales, that has went into effect, and it requires more of the seller, like the store. It still allows sales. Someday we will get Florida on that list of states that prohibit the retail sale or that phase out the retail sale, but we're not there yet. And in the meantime, we've added some transparency, like supplying the actual medical records, what they've been tested for, the vaccinations, all the things that you think is so basic and common, but that's not current. It wasn't the case. But in Florida now, they must supply that information to the puppy buyer and be transparent about if there's financing, because they offer third-party financing, which is a little bit hard to find. There's high interest rates, and it can be a real problem. But there's added transparency now that we passed this bill with Senator Gates and Rep. Weinberger, who are great champions for animals in Florida. So there's just some other pieces of that require shining the light on the industry, and that will, people will, once they know more, that they'll make better decisions. But right now, people don't make the connection from the puppy mill to that pet that they see at the store. They don't realize that puppy's parents are still in a puppy mill, and that's heartbreaking. So the transparency piece of the information will help along those lines. So we're chipping away at it in Florida.
Oh yeah, because how some of them are living, it's. I hope one day it completely gone from these puppy mills, and all the store and the pet stores, and they get with the times and let them live freely, and away from that getting cramped up and unhappy. I mean, they have feelings just like we do. They sleep, eat, everything just like us. And to be cramped up like that and to live that kind of life, that is no life for them at all. And it's so sad to see and hear of that. Let's all work together, everyone, and let's get rid of them. Get with the times. Let them see their freedom and a good life, a TLC, homes, and help more to get them into homes, whatever it takes, because we all could do better out there with helping out, because they're unconditional love. I mean, we have the pets and love them and care for them. And then there's, they have great homes, and there's the ones that don't. And these puppy mills are no life for them at all. It's sad.
There are people that would agree with everything you just said and say, well, I'm the best dog mom, but yet they bought their dog from a store. They're not getting it that the parents of the puppy. And so that's where the real disconnect is, because all the things you said are like, I could just see most of the people I know, like nodding their head, like, yeah, that's totally right. But at the same time, when you say, "Oh, did you adopt your pet?" And you're like, "Oh no, I only want a such and such breed," and it blows my mind. But they, which I mean, I don't know why, they're not into showing. I mean, just have a wonderful dog that's the temperament and the activity level that you want, but they're all amazing, but you just kind of meet them. But some people have to have the designer kind, and then that's where the disconnect is, I think. And so I think it's also promoting, yes, they all need love and caring, but shelter, go to your shelter, don't buy, even if all the things, but rescue or do your homework or go to your shelter and ask them, hey, do you know of any responsible breeders around? That's an option. But again, the shelters are always a good hub of information for any community.
Right. I mean, anything you need to ask them, they'll know. They're, and like you said, but when you're in doubt, you got to ask questions, because they're right there, and they know, they're very well experienced and have the knowledge, so, and don't, when you go there, just, hey, take your time, make sure you're not rushing, and spend time with, you might have one in mind, and a lot of them, they have websites, Kate, I've noticed. You go right on the website. I know when Sugar Bear was adopted, it was on a Memorial Day weekend, so they was giving deals out like veterans will
Oh
get
yeah.
free, adoption
Sure.
free, and the other ones were half off. I mean,
Hmm.
it's like, so if you go and really pay attention and look closely, like my cat, his name was Hugs, and it was so it was his, the prior owner had lung cancer stage 4, so she surrendered him to the shelter. Okay, and his name was Hugs. He gives hugs and kisses. Okay, and still does after 3 years. He's so adorable. And so I changed his name to Victory because I love that name, Victory, right?
Uh-huh.
And it fits him to a T. But I looked and that when I adopted him, I mean, he's looking at all these cats, and at the time they had like 100 over 180 cats, and so was looking on the web and everything. Come to find out, a guardian angel came through and paid the whole adoption fee, which was $80. Isn't that something? So if you
Yeah.
look, you can get some real good, you know, uh, when they have these promotions and these adoption events, and spend time with them, get to know them before they come into your home. You want it to be totally prepared and give them that lifestyle that they want to see. Because I looked at him and he's happy. And then I took another cat. Well, she was a kitten off the street. One of my friends was feeding her daughter. Has was allergic to cats, and they have a pit bull. So her pit bull and this kitten, which was living on the street, they become best friends, right?
Sure.
And that's something. So she would ask him, "Can I help find her coat?" Because she was afraid of it, getting attacked by wildlife or hit by a car. So I
What, the
took the
cat?
kid, yeah, the
Oh,
kitten, and
yeah, the
so
kitten.
yeah, she was feeding everything, but her daughter was allergic to cats. So but
Yeah.
and so I said, she says, "Can you help find her a home? Adopt, somebody foster or something." And I said, or put her on social media because my voice is carried for animal support group. There's all 24/7. There's animals going in there that needs help, death row and everything. And so I said, "Yeah, I'll help." And I took the carrier with me, and she said, Mary said, "Do you know anybody who might take her in?" And I said, "Yeah." And she says, "Who?" I said, "Me." So I
Yeah.
took her in, and her and Victory are BFFs. They are inseparable. What a match that made. So
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, and I mean, they're so comfortable and happy, and they let you know it. She comes and she loves sitting on my lap, so took her in from the streets, and she's a little approximate 3 now, but giving her a good home and a loving home made a whole difference, and made my
Hmm.
friends and their daughter and her family happy. And their pit bull was looking for Liberty after she had left, and said their pit bull was bummed out, because they hanging out on the driveway, and she had pictures of it. So
That's sweet.
take that time and help make it animals' lives better, better life
Right.
in future,
And
and
I have
it,
a bunch of bulldogs, and they're great with cats. Lots of cats. I bring home a foster cat with kittens, and they're sweet and wonderful. So
oh
you never
yeah,
know.
you never know unless you
You
try,
just, you're
right?
right.
You
And
you put
safely
them
try.
together.
Don't assume. It's like judging people by their exterior. That's not what you do. So,
That's right. Give them
yep.
that chance.
Yeah.
Whether and I look at him. I said, "Hey, I said, I told Win Victory, you had to hurt him, living in a TLC home because I didn't see no signs of neglect or abuse or anything, and the owner's health, stage 4 lung cancer is very serious.
Hmm.
So, I said, well, once you're in this home, this is your home now, and I'm your new mommy, okay? Your new mama cat, mama bear, mama dog, and mama cat. 3 different titles.
That's so good.
And when
That
you
is so
pay
good.
attention and spend time with them and talk with them and pet them and
Hmm.
have all their needs there, it's the bond is so
It's
magical.
it,
It's
it is
beautiful.
magical, and that's why. Yeah, I mean, that you took the cat in. Not everybody does that, but it's great that you did that because the kitten really needed a place to go. And I wish
Yes.
more people would do that, at least even just temporarily, to get them
Yep.
fixed, get them up to speed on shots and stuff, and then find them a home. And people say to me all the time, "Oh, I love animals too much. I could never foster," and that just makes my blood boil because the people who foster love them the most because we know that they need it and they need to get out, and then when you find them a home, you're sad, but that's a little bit, but then you have a spot for another one. So people who foster are not less caring than the guy who says I can't do it. The guy who says I can't do it just doesn't want to, and that's fine. It's a free country. But it's such an insult to say to a foster mom that they cared, they couldn't do it. Because the real champions are the folks on the front lines, like our shelter staff, or and the foster moms and dads and volunteers and all of that. There's just need everywhere. So I hope the takeaway is to everybody visit their local shelter and ask them what they need, what how you can help them, and that will be a big one. And I'll say this about our shelters here in Florida, at least. They are supportive of our puppy mill ordinances. We have about 85 ordinances already in Florida on pet retail sales. So we have a lot of stores here, though. A lot of puppy selling pet stores in Florida, more than any other state in the country. But our shelters, our team members, they support, in general, they support this work because that's fewer intact puppies coming into their community, which is the last thing we need. So it's a natural partnership, and that's really, really positive, very positive.
Yes, and also what I wanted to bring up also with this, we was going to talk about how important animal advocacy is in the, especially in the legislation. So I mean, with all of us, and what we can all continue doing to make it because strength in
Oh,
numbers again,
right.
but the
Yeah.
legislation has to be all year round,
Oh, yeah.
or
Yeah. Now is the time.
animal advocacy.
You're right. You're exactly right. Before during session, everything's busy, bills are going, all the things. But when they're outside of session, when things are not, at least here in Florida, in other states, their sessions differ. But when they're not in session, is often a good time to have a meeting with them or talk to them about their pets or invite them to your local shelter or talk to them about pet retail sales or some other issue, tethering in Florida, it's too hot. All of those things, but to lobby or just be a good advocate all year round. And if there's one takeaway, it's please be respectful and polite because disrespectful, even to those who don't agree with us. We know we're right. We're the good guys, but not everyone agrees. But you have to even be respectful to them because that hurts our cause. But most, to some level, are going to say at least that they agree with, companion animal issues and they need to hear from you. I mean, everybody can sign a petition. That's not a bad thing, of course, but it's better to pick up the phone, call your lawmaker, call their office. You talk to their staff and thank them for the good work that they're doing. They have hard jobs. They have to learn a million different topics, different subjects. And just say, hey, I'm one of your constituents. I'd love to talk to you about, sheltering or animal protection issues. Do you have a minute for can we get coffee or can we come to your office or whatever, a Zoom call? And that's impactful. And they say, ask them about their pets, but it's important that they hear from their constituents all year long and specifically outside of session when they're less busy.
That legislation is so very important, and even when I'm on the social media, there's some law like federal laws too, or state, for Florida. I put a call to action or action alert, you know, and I go, try to get attention to more action takers and to have them share it too. Whatever the case may be, get to know your lawmakers because that's the key right there. The new laws coming in, and
Mhm.
that is everyone. That is so very important. That's the only way to really enforce. Okay, because no other way you can, you can't change them by. Okay, this is a new law, but we want to see them enforced also. not just swept, like a slap on the wrist for them, because
Right.
the animals don't get a slap on the wrist at all. They have, a lot of them go through some terrible, treatment and torture and traumatized, from what they go through.
Yeah.
So it's sad
Mm,
and heartbreaking to hear,
those
but it's
people
the
should be brought to
truth.
justice.
You know,
Yes, and we've some good new bills in Florida that if someone abuses an animal, they should be brought to justice, and our lawmakers
yes,
know that. And the carryover with humans and violence to humans. I mean, that's well documented. It's been around since before our lifetime. So we that's a known entity. So if someone is harming an animal, if they can, be prosecuted, they should be and they will be. For the most part, hopefully, I mean, some counties are not as good, but there's some reasons for that, but that's for another day. But if they're really abused or are harmed, then Florida has some good laws, and most of the states do. But animal fighting and stuff like that, it's a little bit more complicated. We do have now, as of now, there's animal crimes are included in the core curriculum for law enforcement, which has been a long time coming, and I worked on that with Sheriff Ivy and some other wonderful sheriffs to get that included in the core curriculum. Because cops when they get out of the academy, if they're not taught animal crimes, how are they going to know them,
right.
right? It's
Yep.
really important. So we do have some good laws in Florida. We just have to use them, and that's a process. So we're working on it.
Oh yeah, got to keep going. We can't give up. We got to be relentless. Optimistic and proactive is the key. We can't give up, everyone.
Yeah,
We
never give
cannot do
up.
it.
Right.
Quitters never win and winners never quit. And when those victories come in, we want to do the victory dance over and over again. It doesn't stop, at this law or this other law,
Yeah,
but get to know them. Excuse me.
yeah,
You
you're
know,
right.
write emails. We vote them in, and they might
Hmm.
as well be in touch with them. Not just because if you
Yeah,
don't contact them, they think everything's going smooth when it's not.
mm,
So
right.
let your
And let them
voices be
know.
heard. That's
Yes,
right, right
respectfully,
there.
we need to hear from you. That's right.
And let your voices
And
be
when they
heard.
do something good, or you should pay
Yes,
attention to what your lawmakers are doing. Follow them on Facebook and do something good. Tell them and thank them. It doesn't have to be about animals, about something else. I mean, they get a lot of, people call them when they're mad, that's for sure. But when they do something good, it's always good to thank them for that. It goes so far, and
oh
people
yeah.
forget. They forget to thank people.
That's right. Show your, recognition, appreciation, because that helps them out too. If something passes, hey, thank them. Call them up, especially if you're
Oh,
your
yeah.
representative. Let them know. Thanks for signing that, or when the governor
Mhm.
signed it.
We're,
Call the
we're still
governor up and
doing
have talk to your governor in each state if he signs something that you really,
it. Mhm.
really was backing or a part of. Let them know. I know
Yeah,
I've done that. So
sure.
and I'm going to continue to do that.
Yeah,
Especially your troopers law. I called Governor DeSantis, and
yeah.
also yeah, and there was. I mean, there's several of them. So
Good. I appreciate that because
yep,
they get their staff takes messages and takes a tally and lets them know we've had a lot of calls on this issue or a lot of thank yous over here on this issue. They know it. So it's not for nothing. You don't get to talk to that person, but you talk to the staff and they do relay it in numbers. And so you always say strength in numbers. And so strength in the number of thank yous is meaningful as well, or calls of concern about something. So
yes.
they do get the messages.
Yes, they do, because I know that for a fact. And, I mean the nationwide number, everyone. If you haven't called it, it's never too late. Okay, and let your voices be heard and help, speak out and fight for the animals. And that area code is 202-224-3121. And it's going to ask for your zip code, and then you connect with your state representative or your state senator. And also if you feel more comfortable, contact them by email. Find my state representative or find my state senator. And you can also go that way, because if you go to their website, they have their phone number there. You can get their fax number. You can write emails, or meet them in person. There's so many different ways to connect, and that makes sense. So
Sorry about the
whatever.
noise. My dogs are making noises.
That's all right, no problem. I've even had them barking on air, and
Uh,
I said, I said they want to get their 2 cents worth in. The louder you bark, the more they're heard.
oh yeah, they do. They want to be part of it for
Yeah.
sure. They
Oh
always
yeah.
do. Where their people are, they want to be. So
Yeah.
anyway, but you have so many great listeners and so many followers, and it's truly a blessing that people, so many people are strong advocates. Like on Monday, we were in DC. There were a really good group of Florida advocates. We have some stellar, longtime advocates that know the deal, speak up, know your stuff and take the time. And it is so meaningful for the staff of some of our elected officials in Washington, that not how many people do that? Not that many. I mean, you got to travel there and all the things, but it's very meaningful. But even on the state level, different lawmakers, but whatever state your person is in, I'm in Florida, to have a conversation or to let them know, outside of session, invite them to your shelter, and tell your shelter that they're coming or whatever, or anything is, ask them about their pets, is just having that FaceTime, that you've taken the time to talk about an issue that's important. Because I will tell you this, the opposition is talking to them, right? They're hearing from the puppy mill people, the pet store owners, some of the other opposition that we work on, and they need to hear from the good guys respectfully how important this stuff is. Because if they just hear from the opposition, they'll think, like you said a minute ago, they'll think everything's fine. Well, just pet stores are great. We'll just keep them coming. No. So that's where, our wonderful advocates need to respectfully speak up. And same thing with wildlife issues. That's a whole nother conversation, but same thing, any issue. Because if you say nothing, then, they have no
That's,
idea that there's a concern.
that's right. If you say nothing, expect no changes, because
That's right.
they're not going to guess what's going on out there. They're not going. They don't. If we don't
Yeah.
tell them, how are they going to know? So we have to
Yeah.
speak up.
Right.
And let them know and how we feel, and professional and polite. You don't have to get,
Yeah.
mad or irate or boisterous.
No.
You can be professional about it, and you'll get
Yeah.
farther across that way. I've learned that a long
Oh,
time
yeah.
ago, to be
Yeah.
professional in a tone of voice where they'll understand. And because
Mm-hmm.
if we don't say nothing, hey, how are they going to know? Hey, everything's
How are
running
they gonna know?
smooth, and it's not.
Yeah.
So to let
Yep.
them know, create new laws. You can be a creator or author of a new bill. They can go that
Yeah.
route too. Get it
Right.
together and present it to them. Goes
Yeah.
to have all your ducks in a row. Why you want this bill and legislation, and goes through draft and gets approved. Then it gets assigned a bill number. Next step, yeah, you got to have a sponsor, representative side and senator. But you can go once it gets approved. You can have it has a bill number. You just get more co-sponsors. On
Mm-hmm.
both sides. So
Both
it's not
sides.
really that difficult
Yes.
to do, and the constituents can do that, all of us.
Right.
So
You're right, though. That's the neat thing about animal protection is it's not partisan. So both
yeah.
sides, either side, no side, however you want to phrase it, it's not a partisan issue, and that's a beautiful thing. And that really helps us because
Oh yeah.
we get, from a co-sponsor from either side is great. It's the best, honestly.
Mhm. There's somebody knocking. Hello, is somebody at
Yeah,
the
that's
door?
my dog's tail on the floor. He's a big. It
That's
sounds like.
too funny.
Sorry, I'm trying to
No
really happy.
problem.
He thinks I'm about to give him dinner. It's a little unusual. They had a snack, so they knew the dinner was going to be a little later. That's adorable.
Smacking the tail against the floor.
Yeah, it's totally it.
That is so cute.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a big one.
But are you ready to take any calls? Because you wanted to go
Sure,
up
sure, sure. Yeah, I have
around
a
it.
few minutes. Yeah, of
Okay.
course, of
Does
course.
anybody want to speak on air? Have any comments or questions for Kate MacFall, Humane World for Animals, Florida State Director? Does anybody want to have any comments or questions? You can come on board. Try to refrain from any
Hello.
noises. You go. Hey, hi, Carolyn. How are you?
Hello. I'm well. Yes, and yeah, thank you so much um to the guests. Though I'm sorry, I'm just going back to Kate, I'm sorry, I'm back and forth feeding my dog myself. So I'm in the midst of feeding Harry. Yeah, but there's one thing that I was reading though is to beware of clearing shelters because that's now raising an eyebrow now.
Um, to be
Clearing the
very
shelters
what?
because you're not sure if they're going to the right homes or
Um,
if they wind up with the right
well,
pet parents.
there was a few situations in Florida where yeah, there was something was amiss, but in general, to clear there's an event, clear the shelters. It's quite good. I mean, it's intended to be a really big adoption event weekend, but if one
Right.
entity comes in, I mean, that's a whole separate thing. But if they're just really doing a big push for adoption and they get a lot of the public coming in, that's a great thing. That's what you want. But I think I know what you're thinking of. And yeah, just being smart and knowing what's happening is obviously important.
Yeah, because there's been reports on social media about that. So this time I'm doing the research myself, and
Well, there were a few situations where I think they were sending out large groups of animals. I don't know the details, but I think something was definitely wrong. But in general, big adoption events, and it's clear the shelters is one of the names is great. You know, we want to find them home. We want to find them all homes. So it's just being savvy, but that's where it comes where you know your shelter director and you are supporting them and you kind of are in the know and you can maybe help or um, yeah, help them navigate those situations. So that's good. You're paying attention. Obviously, you're paying attention.
because I was for all clear. I was rooting for clear the shelters myself. It's just that sometimes they can run into an issue.
Mm.
It's the point of my research, but yes.
Yeah. Ask your local
So
shelter rather than, stuff online is, take it with a grain of salt sometimes. But
I do.
always
I do.
consult.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know the deal. Well, great. I'm glad that you are paying attention and concerned when something goes awry. Well, we all should be.
And I'm also aware of the pet stores. I used to protest back in Las Vegas when I lived out there against Petland.
Oh, yeah. They're the most notorious.
Yeah,
Good for you for doing that. Thank you.
notorious. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. It gets media and it draws awareness to the issue. So good for you for doing that. My good friends Brian and Carla do protests and many others do on a regular basis, and people get used to seeing it. And I would think young people are going to ask, why are these people protesting? What's the deal? And then they learn. So good for you. Good for you. Yeah, that's another state.
Thank you so much, Kate. You keep up the good work, and I'll let someone else speak.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you, Debbie.
Okay. Hey, you're so welcome. Thanks for all your ongoing support. I got a super team going on here, Kate. Great, Kate. And they're awesome working together, right?
You always do. You have a super team.
Yep. I love it and appreciate it.
Yeah, and you might have to.
Thank you, Debbie.
I have to
Thank you,
scoot
Kate.
it by 8:15.
Okay, no
But
problem.
you guys are great. Honestly, you always have a super team, and I love talking about these issues. I do talk about them all the time, but not everybody wants to hear them all the time. So, but you do. But thank you. And you guys are right there with me. And I love when you say strength in numbers and teamwork because and the animal welfare folks really should be working together. I hope that we can all kind of refocus on that. That's how we get things done, is by working together. So that's always been a priority for me.
That's right. That's what it takes.
Yeah, you've always said that.
Yeah, and I've been saying that for so many years because it's so
Hmm.
true.
It's so true.
It keeps inspiring each other to work harder and to come together and gain more, action takers and see those victories come in. That's what it takes because we can't do it alone. We do our best, but we can't do it alone. It takes a village, to see those changes.
It does.
And it can happen because we've seen a lot of victories come through. You
Oh my
can't
gosh.
take
Yeah.
credit, but when you're involved, you see it and you're not spinning your wheels.
That's
And it
right.
took teamwork from the beginning to the end,
That's right.
so, and nobody
Well,
can
you
do it
guys are
by
great. I
themselves.
hope you'll invite me back
Of
sometime.
course, Kate. Oh, great,
And I'll
Kate.
be a little more,
Hey, hey,
all over the
you're
place. But
invited. You're invited back anytime, again
okay.
and again.
Well,
Okay.
thank you. And
Eh,
I'll never get good at the tech, but I'll like to say that I'll try. I always try. But
Yeah, and guess who's on next week? It's back to back.
oh, who's on next week?
Keith Dane from Humane World for Animals. He's
Oh,
uh,
Keith, that's
yeah,
great.
you know him. He's
Oh, of course.
of course you do. Senior Director of Equine. He'll be.
Oh,
I'll welcome him back next week.
excellent. Oh,
Eh,
yeah, that's great. I'm going to tune in.
Oh, good. And we'll surprise him. I won't say a word. Okay.
Okay. All
We'll
right
do a
then.
surprise attack.
All
But
right. Well,
yeah,
good.
he'll
Well,
be coming
thanks for
on.
having me. I'm so glad you told me that. And I'll talk to you soon.
Oh, that sounds good. Great.
Okay.
And
I'm going to
thank you
sign
so
off.
much. And you have a wonderful evening and keep
Okay.
up the hard and great work you're doing.
Thank
Great
you.
Kate, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you. You
much.
too. All righty.
Thank you. And
Bye-bye.
yes, always invited back and have a good one.
Thank
Keep it
you.
up. Yes. And anybody, well, I'm going to be closing it down here soon. And another great show with Kate MacFall, the Florida State Director for Humane World for Animals. She's been on many times, going back to TS Radio, to Animal Advocates Radio, and now Animal Warrior Radio. So, but next week, like I was telling Kate, Keith Dane, going to welcome him back, Senior Director of Equine Protection. And the show is at 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central, 5 o'clock Mountain, and 4 o'clock Pacific. Listen in worldwide, everyone, letting our voices heard worldwide. 535 shows this evening and counting. We'll keep going. The mama bear is on the air because she really does care, so we have to. And Katie's in the chat room. Hello, Katie. Welcome aboard. And everyone says thank you to Kate, and she's awesome. She's a great Kate MacFall, okay, and working hard here in Florida. But hope you all enjoy. Next week to join us again. Welcome Keith back. I'll probably be talking about horse soaring, which is so cruel and heartbreaking how these animals are going through. Um, but all these shows are recorded live and on demand episodes on my Riverside live stream website, and that's Voices Carry for Animals podcast.riverside.com. And you can subscribe free up in the right hand corner. Press subscribe, put your full name or nickname, then your email address, and press submit. And then you'll get a follow-up email that says thanks for subscribing, and then make sure you press the submit subscription, and then you're in. You can listen to these shows 24/7, 365 days a year, and all great guests and callers. I mean, this show has been so, I mean, successful right from the beginning. And it's because of all the great guests and the callers and the listeners and everybody, teamwork again. And appreciate all of your support and help from every angle out there because it means so much. I mean, the ones that's helped me promote each time. I mean, every Thursday, this list is huge on X and Facebook and LinkedIn. It comes from every angle out there. And this show is going live stream on Fans of Animal Rights on Facebook. Thank you, Fans of Animal Rights. I'm one of the moderators on there. Also on the Paul's Cause show. And also help fight the war against all animal cruelty. The Voices Carry for Animals podcast on Facebook. And if you want to go back, visit my voicescarryforanimals.com. You can subscribe there free. And also the PPJ Gazette online, and that's ppjg.wordpress.com. And you can follow also on there, podserve.fm. This show is really getting out to everyone, and it's so great to know that, inspiring and uplifting. Our voices are being heard, and that's the good news. But podserve.fm, Animal Warrior Radio. I still do have an account on Podbean. The shows are also on there you can listen to, and that's Voices Carry for Animals.podbean.com. And you can subscribe free and follow the startup account. And it's still on the app. I didn't want to give them up, but it's getting on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple, um, also Amazon. I'm trying to get the huge list together when I was on Podbean because it added up to 30 podcasts for platforms, including the YouTube channel Voices Carry for Animals podcast on YouTube, and also you can subscribe free there, and also Animal Warrior Radio on YouTube. So there's so many places where you can listen to. When it goes live, that's where it's coming from, Riverside live stream. So what you want to do, if you want to join us on this is all new. This is more advanced. Podbean was very nice also, but this is more advanced. It's still a newbie a little bit. So try to bear with me and all these great guests. We've got great guests lined up for the rest of the year. I got 2 openings left. And that's, yeah, and then starting out 2027 all over again. I'm relentless and I'm proactive, and I'm definitely optimistic and keep going. But Harold, thank you so much for tuning in again, and Lisa and Michelle, all my super team going on, and Animal Warrior sisters and brothers working closely together. And I love that. I mean, I know you love it too, and all your support and helping me to promote these shows. It's wonderful out there. So I can't thank all you enough for all you're doing. And thank you, Kaylee, for I wonder you give me a comment. A wonderful show as usual, Debbie. I do my best, and what it makes it happen is all these great guests and callers, and all of us coming together as one, and getting our voices out there. So, everyone, so you hope you tune in next week. And welcome back, Keith Dane. It's Humane World for Animals back to back, and always welcome back. Are you ready there? My mama cat was having some issues with her audio where she's at. She's going to be heading back home soon. Good news is her mother's doing very well and everything. So, did you want to do the paw in hand there, um, Carolyn? Go ahead. Paw in hand. Wait a minute, I lost you for a minute. Can you hear me? Paw in hand. Wait 1 second, okay? I lost. Wait a minute, 1 second. We lost you there for a second.
There we go.
Okay, there we go. Paw, you want it together? Paw in hand.
And united we stand against all animal neglect and cruelty across the land.
Yes. Good night, everyone. And thank you all for tuning in, and hope to see you next week. And may God bless you all and have a nice and peaceful evening. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.